you don't double cross this pizza place. Like they're the mob. There's no other pizza places that give them, they don't have to compete for anything because they're that. And the Deliverator, at first he's like a bodyguard, and then he gets fired from being a bodyguard because he's a little too thorough with his katanas that aren't regulation. And then you got to go to college for like 3 or 4 years to become a Deliverator to work for this pizza place. And basically he becomes a Deliverator. And where I am at right now, he just crashed his Deliverator car into an empty pool, so he's fucked because the mafia is going to kill him now. And that's where I am.
It's like a future story?
Yeah, it's a future. It's like kind of. It really reminds me of Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits, or Fancy Suits and Futuristic Violence by David Wong.
Oh, the John dies at the end?
Guy? Yeah.
I was just watching fucking two disembodied heads talk about fucking books right now.
That sounds
it's
very
literally
John dies at the end.
That's going on.
When did Snow Crash come out?
Well, a while ago.
Okay, because I'm listening to Masters of Doom right now.
Okay.
You know what that is?
No.
It's the book about the creation of Doom.
Oh, okay.
About John Carmack and John Romero.
Oh, okay.
And I think they mentioned like that it was like one of their favorite books or something. And I think that's where I literally just heard.
Yeah, Snow Crash and Diamond Age. Those are two like really really popular Neil Stephenson books.
Or maybe he wrote something else. I don't know.
Yeah, he wrote Snow Crash.
Like a game or something. I don't know, maybe he wrote a game or like. But yeah.
I gotta go put socks on.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because
just
that let me leave.
I was just asking you a question about the book.
I'm trying to make you do a podcast when you know I'm trying to leave.
I already recorded it, so joke's on you.
Ooh, it's the Jacket Off Podcast, episode 8. Dillon, you there?
Yeah, I'm Dillon. You're Brent.
I wasn't trying to say I was Dillon. I was trying to address you.
Oh.
As such. Okay. So, it's been a while.
Yeah. Too
Popular
long,
song
some
by
might
Stained.
say.
It's too long, some might say. I don't think anybody might say that ever.
I just said it.
A million years. So.
And I'm somebody.
Last week, we had a spirited conversation about Power Rangers, the Dark Tower series, and DLC. That seemed to be the three arcs that existed. And it was literally almost like specifically delineated. I could mark in the video when the conversation moved from Power Rangers to Dark Tower to then DLC for like fucking 5 hours.
It was only an hour long, one. And that's because me and Angel can't hold a conversation, all right?
I was especially...
So I have to specifically go topic.
Well, that's good, because I specifically was taken aback by, at the very drop of the show, you were just like, oh, hey, this one's going to be boring because Brent's not here. It's like, I don't think that has any bearing on it because we've made boring-ass shows with me in it.
That's true.
There's no denying that the secret sauce, as it were, is the 3 people, not 2 of the people, 1 of the people. There's something there that's
so spoilers for this episode. Andrew's not here, so it's gonna be boring. All right. Did you know you can buy dildos on the Walgreens website?
That's man. You didn't even tell me that's where we were gonna go in this episode. So please tell me about that.
Well,
how you can buy dildos on the Walgreens website.
They sell Walgreens exclusive Funko Pops, so I was seeing what one, if they had any online, like a certain one, and I went to their like categories, and it said like like
Marital
sexual
aid.
health or something.
Oh, baby.
And I like hovered over, and it's like adult toys. You click it, and sure enough, they got dildos.
Nice.
And it says dildos.
I
It's not like personal massager. No, it says dildos.
I would. Man, even even AdamandEve.com probably says personal massagers.
Well, I think they go a little.
Or actually,
it's
they
like
might be a
big
little bit
thropping
more
monster cock. Yeah.
They have sortable categories where it's like, what color do you want?
You want dragon
So it's
dick?
like, yeah, exactly.
2 dragon dicks?
Tentacles? Tentacle? How many? And you just drill it down by category.
Want it attached to a soulless body you could back up on?
So the Walgreens website has marital aids. I was gonna say, there's probably not an option at the top of that page to put in your zip code and select the store that you can get in-store pickup for these items, like Walmart.
No, I don't think they do in-store pickup. I don't feel like paying for shipping.
What sort of fulfillment options do you have? Because I got a Walgreens right down the street, and I mean, time is of the essence. I really need to go and pick this shit up immediately. So that's good. Now I know where to get those things in case I ever do, if the need ever arises. I guess
In case yours gets too dirty.
if mine melts in the dishwasher when I was trying to clean it. I know where to get one now. So I was supposed to go see Power Rangers today. Really a promise that has been broken 4 or 5 times in the making at this point.
You're not going to see it.
No, I guarantee that what's going to happen is not only am I not going to go see the movie in theaters, but also when it comes out on DVD with either the ability for me to pirate or rent the movie, I probably still won't even do that for the $6 HD rental on Google
Don't worry,
Play.
I'll buy it, and then if you come over, I'll just make you watch it.
Ultimately, that's probably the best way to do something, or make me do something that you want me to do.
Especially because the whole reason you were supposed to go see it was so we can all talk about it. But me and Andrew just talked about it anyways. It doesn't
Listen,
matter.
you guys explored every orifice of that movie way better than I probably could have done it, so I don't really have any qualms against that. It feels good to me. Walgreens.com. Not a sponsor.
But their dildos are. The dildo,
Feels good to
we're
me.
sponsored specifically by the dildo section.
the just that.
Yeah.
None
None of the other, not the lubricants. We can only get you the dildos at a decent rate.
Walgreens going in dry since 1994.
Might be older than that. 94.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, they're probably one of those companies that's like Lowe's that's been around since like the 1800s. They are probably selling fucking hand crank mechanical dildos in their stores in like the 1800s. The fucking it was, or either that or it was powered by like steam.
Do you have yourself a lonely night at home? Come get your dildos at Walgreens.
Do you have a case of mania because you're a woman? Come on down and get your sexual satisfaction guaranteed at Walgreens. Back then, it was probably like some sort of initials then Walgreens. Like it was like HW Walgreens because that's the guy.
WG's.
WG Walgreens. Walgreen. Did the WG Walgreen marital aid and old fashioned candy store. Come on down. You can buy yourself a root beer barrel and get yourself a hand crank dildo. Why does everything devolve into an old timey discussion? we had one with the fucking Eisenhower's a schmutz.
I don't even remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
Oh my god, that was one of the highlights right there at the beginning when I was in the studio.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In Becky's studio, and you're like, "Is that a Monet on the wall back there?"
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, I was like, "Man, Dillon, you're going crazy on the fucking references." And then you started talking like a character in BioShock. Or Fallout. Actually, it was Fallout because I remember I said something about that. About how that's how the style of speaking was in that era.
I mean, my only notes for today are Walgreen dildos. Like,
I mean,
if you look at my notepad,
the
it just
challenge
says Walgreens dildos. So now we have a topic, and also I could post it just in case I ever forget when I need to buy a dildo. Walgreens.
I mean, isn't really the challenge to say that we have one show note today, and we're gonna build an entire hour-long podcast on one show note? I didn't come in with any notes. I have nothing. I went this morning and recorded the set that I'm going to post later on. And during that, I literally had no thoughts in my head. Usually I'll sit here all morning thinking about something, and then literally nothing happens.
You can get dildos at Spencer's, too.
Great observation. We haven't known that since, I don't know, forever.
Yeah, that's in the mall. I mean, if you're ever in the mall, go to Macy's, get yourself a nice suit. Go to Spencer's, get yourself a dildo. Go to Hot Topic, get a nice T-shirt with fucking the Black Parade on it.
Havana on it. There's this place in Provincetown over near Cape Cod. Obviously, we know, well, not everybody knows, but I know that Provincetown is one of America's gay capitals, probably third or fourth to San Francisco, Portland, these areas.
That haircut let everyone know that you know.
Yeah, don't make any bones about it. I know where all the gays are in America at all times.
I'm not making any bones because they're all in your mouth.
Giggity. We were out there. We stayed like a week at, again, a gay couple's apartment. We rented it for an entire week. It's the most exquisitely, lavishly decorated apartment in the world. And down on what they call the Strand, which is where it's like, I guess you would call it downtown Provincetown. It's like right near the ocean. It's got all the piers and everything. There's a shop that's called Shop Therapy, which on the bottom floor is like a giant Spencer's. It's all like bongs and I mean, it's more advanced than Spencer's because it has paraphernalia. It's got everything from Spencer's all the way to like a vape shop. And everything in between. But then when you go upstairs, it's the Dildo Emporium and Warehouse.
Oh.
Frank's
Dildo Factory?
Every single square inch of the top floor of this building was covered. I mean, like, from top of the wall all the way down. If you
floppy cocks, hard cocks.
If you had
cocks the size of your head,
on the bottom, you'd have to bend all the way over to the floor to get it, and it goes all the way around.
That's dangerous, bending over in a dildo shop.
You got me. The only thing on that top floor that wasn't a sexual item was, for whatever reason, I don't know why this wasn't downstairs, but there's just one girl working the upstairs, and behind her area was a display of shisha and other hookah related products. That's pretty much what it was. I don't understand why. Also, this is one of those kind of shops where they have screening rooms. Like in the old shop, like in the old sex shops, like in New York. I mean, I'm sure there still are ones like this, but like in the East Village, there was sex shops where you could go in. And at the era where the like adult DVD sales were at an all-time fucking high because that was the format, like maybe pre-internet, maybe a little bit afterwards, you had the ability to go into the screening room, pop in the DVD, and do what you saw fit in that situation.
Jacket.
So, I mean,
just crank it out.
What is this? Is this podcast? I mean, but what is this podcast? But really, an excuse to try to shoehorn in that phrase at every corner as best we can, creating all of the titles for all the rest of the videos around the idea of it too. We're creating an empire here, and it really just starts off with a masturbation joke.
Yeah. A foundation of dicks.
And a Blink-182 album, really. Ironically enough, you're wearing a Blink-182 t-shirt. It all comes full circle. Giggity.
Oh, okay. I had another note.
You have another note suddenly.
Yeah, another. Well, no, I had this note. I lost the note.
25 minutes.
Well, see. Okay.
You see,
Well, this note was written
fucking
down a while ago, but you didn't. You don't want to make time for me to ask you this. So, Jared Leto posted on his Facebook, "Are you ready for a new album?" and a video of 30 Seconds to Mars. So, Brent, are you ready for a new 30 Seconds to Mars album?
Yes. Let me tie this into let me bring it to 2 points. There is another new album. Dillon Francis last night posted it was awful, but it was a live 100% vertical Facebook Live discussion, and I use the word discussion lightly because it was literally him with his phone like this, like vertical, and the video obviously had like 2 gigantic black fucking bars on the side of it. It was later posted to YouTube. That's where I was watching it, because he couldn't get Facebook Live to work on his laptop. So ultimately,
it doesn't work on your laptop.
The greatest producers
It doesn't work on your laptop.
That's probably what somebody should have told him before he tried it.
Yeah, it's only on your phone. It's only on the mobile app that you can do it.
So, anyway, once he reached that startling revelation that he couldn't do it on his laptop, he was then holding the phone vertically for the better part of 25 minutes, answering questions from the chat, which was going a million miles an hour. And they were asking him about what's going on with him right now in terms of the release of Talk Less.
Say Less?
Say Less.
The G-Eazy song?
And this is, I didn't know this part either, but this is the first release from him that's part of his own, and it's not even a label. He left Columbia Records. He doesn't have a label anymore. He's an independent artist. So he said that this track that he just released is on his own YouTube channel. He can't have a Dillon Francis Vivo anymore because that was what was set up for him by Columbia Records, and that was his distribution channel. So he said, I can't, so don't, basically unsubscribe to that channel is what he said in this live stream, but also to now start following him on the Dillon Francis official YouTube page, because that's where every song release is going to come from now on. What he's saying the new album is going to be is 100% Moombahton with very little collaboration. So
so back to something
like
West Side EP, and
I would say a little bit after that, because he mentioned during it that he's like, a lot of the thing, because somebody asked him, they're like, is there going to be a lot of collaboration on this record? And he's like, not really. It's going to be a lot of bootleg Fireworks-esque material that's based really just solely on his own work and vocal samples. It's just creating. It's like a 90. What did he say? It's like a little less than a 90-minute record, maybe stripped down, because he's got a lot of tracks for it right now. So he's going to have to edit some out. He was playing some of this stuff. It sounds unbelievable. Just the demo shit, the 20 or 30 seconds that he was playing of each thing sounded fucking crazy good. So that's something to look forward to from him. 30 Seconds to Mars.
What the kind of diatribe are you going on now?
No, that I just wanted to say that because I literally just saw that today, and I'm glad you mentioned something about a new record.
Okay.
But 30 Seconds to Mars, I am ready for a new record. I hope in many ways that it doesn't just sound like I hope he took whatever criticism he may have gotten for this record, which I don't know if he got any. Oh, well, he got some. I mean, obviously, I think it was a very critically panned album.
I don't think his head's that far up his own ass.
But do you really believe that, though? Because I feel like...
No, I don't. That's why kind of why I said it.
I think he could have... he would be doing, I guess I'll put it this way, he'd be doing himself a disservice if he had his head so far up his own ass going into a new record to think that this last record was the direction he should be going in, because it's not. And whether or not he returns to This Is War or he makes lemons out of that lemonade and tries to like move it a little bit more forward, that concept, please do that.
Well, what happened was they started with the more electro vibe in This Is War, and then they kind of went a little too far with it in Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams. I think that was your problem with it, right?
Well, yes, and I think also
they took the good part of This Is War, or they took like not like the good. They took the wrong part of This Is War and went too far with it.
I think my biggest criticism, though, not just the electronic part of it, because I think his voice and his point of view when it comes to that music, the epic part of it, could translate so much better than a fucking Afrojack remix out of one of those songs that wasn't even really that good. I feel like he could do a record, or he could be a guest vocalist on record, just in the same way that Brendan Urie is, or any of those vocal styles. He could fit into an electronic music style very well, but I don't think a whole record needs to be consist of it. I think that in the same way that Death Magnetic was really bad because it sounded really bad, and I don't mean like sounded really bad in the arrangement of the songs or like the structure of it. Death Magnetic just sounded like shit to people's ears. It was tinny, it was overproduced, it was blown out, it was almost like it was clipping.
No, Saint Anger.
No, Saint Anger was very much like that, but Death Magnetic, if you listen to Saint Anger, the production on that record was like the same production style as the Black Album.
No, it sounds like it was recorded through a garbage can.
Well, that was because the songs themselves were like these overdriven, tinny things. The thing with Death Magnetic was people gave them this criticism that and I mean, I guess it's like a very specific criticism, but Eddie Trunk from VH1,
does that guy, that music show, or that metal show? Yeah.
He did an interview with Lars Ulrich where he was saying that, and this was a good amount of time after Death Magnetic came out. He was saying, after the dust settled on the criticism regarding Death Magnetic, are you ready to address the criticism about how overblown the production was? And he seemed to know exactly what he was talking about. Like, it wasn't like what he said to him like took him completely by surprise. He's like, I can't believe somebody would production value was no, he knew it. And I think after they recorded it and released it, it's like that was a pretty bad mix. I mean, it just overall, the whole record. And I guess, you know what? I will agree that probably Saint Anger was heading into that direction, but at the very least, there were some points on there that had a low end that didn't sound like it was being recorded through a vacuum tube. Now they've gone back on it. Hardwired, they've taken the production and evened it out quite a bit, so it doesn't sound like hell. It actually sounds pretty good. What I'm saying is to bring it all back around.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Saint Anger?
No, I'm not. I guarantee you, if you watch that interview with Eddie Trunk and Lars Ulrich, and actually, even if you just Google Death Magnetic production.
Because Death Magnetic was the last album that people were like, oh, this is actually good. That was the album before this one.
I'm going to say that.
And then
I'm
Saint
sure
Anger
there were
was...
people that thought it was good. Saint Anger was a lot of bad songwriting. I mean, on Some Kind of Monster, you're talking about James Hetfield going out to rehab, coming back completely sober, finishing off the whole record, and then the record turning out like shit because...
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
Are you getting results that say...
Yeah, Death Magnetic.
Typing into Google, Death Magnetic shit, question mark?
I guess I never really listened to it, so I didn't realize that
Well, I'll tell you
this
this.
one was just as bad as Saint Anger. I guess no, it was, but
It was not as bad as I think that's probably what the most redeeming quality about it is that the songwriting is still pretty good. There was a couple songs on there that I felt were really, really good for them at the time. I can't remember. It's a really driving one. That the music video was pretty cool for it too. But to bring it back around to old Jerry Leto.
Yeah, what were you saying about it?
On the reason why I said Death Magnetic was as such, and I thought it was sort of related to it, was that I thought Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams kind of sounded like that. It sounded like, it sounded way too tight. I felt like the whole record had a stick up its ass. And I think it really did have to do with the production of it. It's very much in the same way that I think like all bands sometimes have a failure when they move to a predominantly electronic sound. There are very few that don't. Maroon 5 being a good example of that, where they moved very early into an electronic sound and they kind of went with it.
Yeah, but they made themselves big on the electronic sound.
That's the difference, I think, is that Jared Leto made himself big on this U2, like heading into a Coldplay type area where he's creating this wall of sound production, which is an incredibly good production. I mean, This Is War. To listen to that record from beginning to end, you get a sense that like they were going for something here that was so grandiose without being pretentious that you couldn't even really push it much farther than that. U2, again, being another example of a band that capitalizes on that like incredibly grandiose structure and production style. It just felt like Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams was completely empty. It was just completely devoid of like any of that like initial like. They tried to use those big group vocals again. They didn't sound the same. They just the audience recording aspect of This Is War was what made it that way. Like what made it sound as good as it was.
Yeah.
And the fact that the bass was as good as it was, and the drums. I mean, the back end of that record is what made it. I think was bass and drums are so gross on there that. And even when you watch that Artifact documentary, you can watch Shannon trying to work out the drums for Kings and Queens and like him fucking up like 1,000 times. And Jared, because I think Jared produced that record. They might have had some assistant producers, but in the film, I think he did do a lot of the production on it. He was saying like, you, and kind of in a like a shitty way to him a little bit, like, you need to fucking get these drums down. Like, we're not changing it. This is the way that it's got to be. Like, he kind of became like a little bit of a Madam Fortress mommy during the record, just being shitty a little bit. But it produced like a fucking crazy good record. I don't know how the fuck I just got onto that topic.
I mean, the first half of Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams, maybe like the first 5 songs, actually sound like they could be off of This Is War, and then like the back half is just gets boring.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Well,
it's because like when you listen to it, you listen to the first 5 songs, and then it just gets more of the samey. Like there's no, you just like as you're listening to the song, you know what's gonna happen. You're like, oh, here's this part, and then the vocal break, and then the synth break, and then it's all over.
I mean, we were talking about those kind of records that exist as a full record.
Yeah.
Permission to Land being one of the few records I ever think about where, and that's a contemporary record. I mean, of the last 10 years.
That's funny.
That
no one, I think it's older than 10 years.
Yeah, almost probably now. It's got to be.
Oh, they come out in 2005, I think.
I was just going to say 2005. I was going to say it was that record. It had to have been close to that.
Yeah, because they've come out with like 3 albums since then. So
Hot Cakes.
I mean, none of them were good.
After that, no, One Way Ticket to Hell and Back just sounded like I Believe in a Thing Called Love Again.
Yeah,
they were desperately trying to cling on to that, and the weird part is that not many people knew that whole record was that good. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody about, like, everyone knows I Believe in a Thing Called Love. That song was fucking huge. But I think
that song was huge for the same reason that Somebody That I Used to Know was huge. Like, this, like, the vocals that, like, everyone kind of makes fun of when they're singing it, you belt it out. It's one of those things that it gets big for that reason. You're in your car driving.
I think there's there's something to be said about the crossover hit being oftentimes more successful than something you expect from an artist or from an artist that's already established. You mentioned Gautier being like Somebody That I Used to Know hit so huge, but if it never did, if that song never came out and there was a very small group of people that maybe from like New Zealand or Australia or whatever, where I forget where he's from, I believe it's New Zealand.
Yeah, one of those places.
If there was a small group of people that had been following his music, this happens for a lot of artists. Somebody That I Used to Know would be like a minor hit into the hundreds of thousands, maybe into a million, and it would just stall off. But for some reason, there's this magical fucking thing that happens when a song that should never get past the indie charts gets past it. It's happened a million times, and then it just explodes. He hasn't even done anything yet lately. He's playing in his own band that he was in before, because his real name is Wally de Backer. And he was playing in this band in New Zealand called The Something. I think it starts with an M. I can't remember what it was, but it was very much like a Jack White. He was a Jack White, where he has these major hits that come out under whether it's in his independent thing or in a band, and then he just fucking like recedes for a long time. It's weird that those hits happen from songs that you would never expect. Because some songs you listen to and you feel like they're cultivated to have an effect like this. They're generated to be a hit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
They got the catchy chorus, fucking that sweet synth line, the sing along, talk about partying, the clapping, the stomping, the clap, stomp, clap, stomp.
I don't know. Did you ever hear this probably actually didn't cross over as much as
just
I would
like
think it
fuck the Gwen Stefani song. Like everyone knows the pound clap in the beginning. Yeah.
Like
this my shit. All the girls up your feet like this. 2 times around that track. Just go.
Boy, those levels are going up. We're gonna blow out those mics.
I mean, like, it was just made to remember, and everyone remembers it.
The Rick Rubins of the world, the Mutt Langs of the world, the biggest producers. I mean, and it kind of brings me into Hysteria. That's a record where their main idea was to say, let's create a record where not one song on the record isn't going to be a hit.
All killer.
No filler. There's one other record that always comes to my mind. It isn't necessarily a record that's like, it's good from beginning to end, but it doesn't really flow that much, is Sound of Madness.
I mean, those are like their hit factory.
That record.
There were so many songs on that was just like single. And they played it out forever.
You couldn't even believe that you were still listening to a Shinedown song on the radio 2 years later that was coming from the same record. The last single, I think, on that record was Crow and the Butterfly.
Yeah.
The ballad off of that record. And that song had to have come out a year and a half after it, if not more. They milked that whole record in that era of where like rock music was king. Modern rock radio was at the fucking top of the format about 6 or 7 years ago.
A good record is a good record.
Oh, listen,
it's just proof to
what it is.
It's just proof that like these songs keep hitting because they're good songs.
A Night at the Opera, Nevermind, Hysteria, Permission to Land, Sound of Madness. These records are what they are because they made a conscious effort while they were recording it to say, we know that there's 2 or 3 songs on here that are going to be hits no matter what we do, which is, I wish a lot can be said about that from a lot of other records. There's 2 or 3 songs per record. That's how it's always worked.
That's the point.
That's where we are.
You put the 2 or 3 songs out, then they buy the album. Well, I mean, it doesn't work like that anymore. You put the 2 or 3 songs out, and then they buy the 99-cent song on iTunes.
It's very, and I mean, really, it's just this is really a nostalgic thing to be talking about the record that you like from beginning to end is almost completely gone. I would say if it's not gone already, in another 3-4 years, singles are the only way to distribute anything. And that what you're going to see live is the singles.
The greatest hits tour. You can't
subsist. Yeah. You can't subsist on the tours. Like, and I guess I should say this with a grain of salt. You can subsist on a tour where, like, if you're like a Pearl Jam and you have this incredibly hard following, you could go and change your set list every night and people would love it.
Coheed and Cambria is the same.
Coheed and Cambria, yeah, that's a very distinct. Well, and I think it's because of the nature of their music. The nature of their music is innately progressive, and so are their audiences because they respect the idea that the music that they're generating is all a part of a story, and that they have such a large catalog for such a small amount of records, and the songs last for such a long time, and
they
you can get
quite a bit of records.
Well, for the time that they've been out, I mean, they've been out since 2001 or something like that, or early 2000, right?
Yeah, 3 maybe. Probably 1.
So I mean, yeah, they have been around for a long time. I mean, for 15, 16 years, if that's what it is, and they've produced some incredibly long, incredibly complex records, and they haven't stopped. I mean, you've got Spirit Kid. That's probably their most recent, what you would call a hit, right? I mean, selected off the record to be the kind of accessible song. That's a fucking great song. In many ways, it reminds me of what I like about Coheed and Cambria, which is when they don't try. Feathers and Fearhouse Atlantic and the hits of Coheed and Cambria oftentimes are the ones where they don't try. The ones where they try real hard end up being the fucking most amazing like songs. They're like very complex and have a lot of depth to them. Like Here We Are, Juggernaut, or
From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness.
Right. Or the several part songs and
that From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness is like part 1 of that.
Those are more in the realm of like the 2020 I can't say the year, 2021 or 20 fucking Rush's record 12. I don't know why I couldn't remember it. Yeah,
the year was 2021. The progressive album was all but lost.
That's the song. That's the song I'm coming up with. It's like the beginning of Logic's The Incredible True Story, where it's like, yeah, I'm just listening to some Logic. It's like, man, that's like some oldies right there. It's like, yeah, it's a good record. You know, that's the record that changed everything, right? It's like his like second record. Speaking of Logic, he's coming out with some new shit too. Did you ever listen to him?
No.
I kind of just recently got into him a little bit, only really because of the fact that G-Eazy is sort of paving the way a little bit for the white rapper, the serious white rapper again, because they've always been around. They just really haven't gotten much. Huh?
Mac Miller, go fuck yourself.
You know what, though? he changed his whole thing after the record before this one. The record before, let me think. This one is called no, the female something. The Divine Feminine is the new record.
Okay.
The production on it, I don't know who did it, but the production on it is now more future-y. Not the rapper Future, the sound of it. It is very crisp, very bright, and has a lot of like R&B elements to it.
Uh-huh.
It's like a bright future-y R&B type thing, where the record before this, Good AM, and the one his earlier one before that.
Who cares? No one cares about Mac Miller.
Fuck you. People care about Mac
No,
Miller.
Mac Miller sucks. I saw him live at Bamboozle. He sucked. He sucked.
Well, a lot of rappers suck live. We've seen that happen in practice.
Doesn't matter. He still sucks. He's white. He should be able to figure it out.
Do me a favor. Listen to the song "Dang" off of his new record, or "Stay." Let's just to humor me and to see where he is now.
All right.
It's in a completely different realm.
I'll think about it.
You'll think about it?
Yeah.
It's Dillon. He isn't what's his name? I Love College anymore. He isn't Asher Roth anymore. I love college. Yeah. And I love drinking. Woo! He's not that anymore. Especially since Blue Slide Park, which is
there's a song that was made specifically to be a hit. Perfect example.
It's a perfect example of that because it's so dumb. I mean, I'm the best. I sent that to you a while ago, and then I sent you that one producer, that really, really bad producer. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You were like, here's the difference between those two songs. I'm the best is bad good, or it's good bad, I guess, however you want to structure that.
Bad.
It's good bad.
Good bad, yeah. It's good bad.
I'm the best is good bad because the guy obviously knows how to write a rap song, but he's deconstructed it to the point where he doesn't have to. He literally just uses his vocal sample is just dun 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 dun. I'm the best. I'm the best. It's like, it sounds like a Kanye song. Like it sounds like Pablo, where it has nothing in it. The song has nothing. Or like I'm Better with Missy Elliott. That song has nothing in it. It's just fucking two hats, a snare, and a big, huge bass note every 4 seconds. And that's the song. I think that's the difference, is that like sometimes a bad song turns into a good song so quickly you have no idea what happened. Where something hits like super viral and you have no idea why.
Just gotta have that it factor.
There's something to it.
The pizzazz. The zings.
When are we ever gonna hit?
Oh, we're not it.
That's so bad that it's good.
We're not it. We've never been it. We'll never be it. Those two letters aren't even near
Dillon,
us.
Where's our hysteria? Where's our permission to land? All killer, no filler. We gotta have it.
I think it's trapped in one of my synthesizers somewhere.
You gotta unleash it.
Come out.
You have to set a fire on top of your synth and pray to the gods.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Come up with that hook. That's not happening. All my synths are made out of wood. They'll burn up in 10 seconds. Vaporize into a pile of soot.
Oh, thanks, Moog, for your fucking maple wood lining. Just because it looks cool doesn't mean I need it.
Is the story of Dillon, really. Just because it looks cool doesn't mean I need it.
But I have it.
Yeah, the abridged version of that is, yeah, I bought it.
Oh, speaking of that, so I was like, I'm drinking some whipped cream, vodka, and Coca-Cola last night, and I bought the Dragon Dagger from Power Rangers online.
Yeah.
It's only $130.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that. Was not expecting that figure. Not even close.
I had to tell you the figure because I knew it made it worse.
I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, $130. What was the last thing I spent $130 on? I mean, obviously
that sound bar, all right, because you were pissy
true.
because you couldn't get a Switch.
Yeah, it's very true. I don't even think I talked about that on the podcast.
No, that happened like last week.
Yeah, oh my God. So much has happened that I've really just blocked it out of my mind. But like when I went and bought that Switch, you know what? Oh, I fucked up. I just realized I fucked up just now. Toys R Us was supposed to have another stock of them this morning.
Oh yeah, I heard.
I could have went out and got it.
I was gonna text you.
And actually, with that newfound knowledge that I have of what happened to me a couple weeks ago, I probably could have gotten one, because now I know what the average amount of Switches per store is, or at least the one that I went to.
And you could just count and then leave.
Yeah. If I got there and there's fucking 10 people in line, or even 8 people in line, I could just turn around and go.
And they probably come in like boxes of 4 or something.
Last week when I showed up, it was it's beautiful out today. I probably would have been the fucking best time to go get it. Although the weather was a factor, because there were people who, when I pulled into the parking lot of Toys R Us, were waiting there, and they were waiting in their car. And I waited in my car for a good 5 to 10 minutes because I saw that, and that was immediately where I fucked up right there. Because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that if I had gotten in line the second that I got to the store, that I probably would have been number 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
But I got in line and I ended up being number 10. And lo and fucking behold, I wait out there for 45 minutes in the cold ass freezing fucking rain,
which is not terrible. Oh,
no, it
rain.
Really isn't. Not for what it was. I was just stupid, because if I would have been willing to stand out there for an hour, I've waited 24 hours for a fucking Wii. Why didn't I get there at like 7:30, 8 o'clock with a bunch of winter gear on? And a fucking folding chair. I'm better than this. I'm smarter than this. But I figured I could just casually. I guess I just underestimated the idea of it, because in my brain, before I went out to go actually get this fucking thing, I was thinking in my head, well, look at the weather out. There can't be that many people there, and there wasn't. But I again also underestimated the amount of Switches that they were actually gonna get.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd think they were gonna get a whole bunch of them.
Well, I guess I was in the dozen range. You know what I mean? Like I was in the dozen to 20 on a like a crazy idea. But
yeah, a restock's never gonna be that much.
Well, not much before.
Especially they probably got like 20 for their main shipment, but then like the restock, they probably only get like 2 boxes. That.
So, to make a long story fucking longer, I get up there in line. They're handing out tickets, and I got so pissed off when the 2 people ahead of me got turned away that I started laughing. As I was just like, fucking walking back to my car in a fucking rage. Get in the car, drive over to Walmart. I walk in. I'm like, I'm getting a soundbar today, and I don't care which one it is. I want the most expensive one in the building, which actually turned out to be not that expensive, but it was the kind of soundbar that I was looking for, which was a whole integrated system. I bought the Vizio 5.1 38-inch soundbar with like the wireless subwoofer and the 2 rear channel speakers that hook up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Best money I ever spent. Sounds unbelievable. Yeah. So that's the story of the Switch. And I missed out on it today. In many ways, I was so mad for weeks after that I didn't want one. But I'm going to be lying to you if I didn't walk into Target.
Like, give it a little peek.
Just walk by. Just walk by and see if I turn into if I turn into one of those success stories that I always hear about on Reddit, where it's just like, hey, me and my girlfriend were just walking by Target and look what I found. It's like, I fucking hate you and your girlfriend, piece of shit,
garbage people.
I've walked in 2 hours, maybe 1 hour after Target opened, and I didn't get in there. And here you're telling me, walked in on my lunch break, fucking found a Switch, huh? It's like, where do you live? Where do you live? Do you live in? You can't live in a fucking urban area. There's no way that's happening with the density that's out there. You got to be living in fucking bumfuck nowhere to be able to get a Switch on your lunch break. You no-selling waste of space. You're fucking worthless.
Should have pre-ordered it, Brent.
I know.
Did you learn your lesson? No,
I didn't. Because ultimately,
you don't care that much.
For any decision that's made regarding a pre-order, I really have you to fall back on as it pertains to.
Should I get it or not?
Good. And then you get it, and then you're like, nah, I'm never gonna play this, and I'm like, all right. That battle was won. One more thing I didn't spend $300 on.
Yeah, but don't worry. I plan on fighting crime with my dragon dagger, so I got that going for me.
Well, fighting all that Verona crime.
Yeah.
Going down a nice and easy and breaking up a fucking bar brawl and a stretchy Rangers. Hey, get the fuck out of here. Go, Dillon Rangers. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Is he autistic?
They're all backing away and you're just like autistically screeching with a dagger. It's just decorative. It's not even sharp.
I don't even know if it's metal. Well, it said metal on it.
It said metal on it. Where'd you buy it from?
Amazon.
There used to be a website that was remember what was that website where you could buy all that shit from back in the day that you bought a bunch of stuff from? It's called like Hollywood something.
Oh, Entertainment Earth.
Entertainment Earth, yeah. That was the one that had like the Cloudbuster sword and a bunch of those other like full scale replicas. Yeah. And like that's so funny. I don't know why I just thought of that. That's from a long time ago.
They're still open.
Open. What did you
open.
Bought shit from there, and I know Andrew did too.
I don't know if I ever bought anything from there.
I thought you did.
I might have. I used to go on there a lot and just look at shit because they sell animation cells and stuff on there and everything else. I don't even remember.
That's the thing right there. I was listening to Chris Hardwick somewhere. I don't even think it was on Nerdist. I mean, he's mentioned it on Nerdist, but
yeah, just open your ears and you can hear Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, that's true. He was talking about animation cells. He's brought it up a couple times, but he's got some shit from like Ren and Stimpy and stuff like that. It's one of the most accessible ways to collect something because a lot of times, depending on what you're interested in, a lot of those don't run for a lot of money. They can go up into the thousands and whatever for the rare.
Depends on what it's from.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a very specific interest about what it is that you like in animation or you want to collect, if it's, I mean, obviously the more obscure, the cheaper it's going to be. But even stuff that's not incredibly, or it is incredibly well known, I guess I should say, can be bought. And if it's something that you really, really want, you can go on eBay and get it for a decent price. And in some cases, probably a decent price would be, I don't know, $300 to $500. That's a lot of money. But it's, again, one of those collectible things where you could spend a lot more money.
Yeah, I got one for my mom once. I got her a Grinch one.
Oh, from the original.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was from the original. It was like a reprint type thing, but like it was like redrawn I think.
I guess there's something you can do with those cells where you can. I don't know if it's like the same thing as what you would do with like a lithograph, where I guess you rescan it and produce it in the same way that the original cell was produced. It's basically like a duplicate, a copy, printed on like the acetate or whatever.
Yeah, but I think it was redrawn by the guy who did the original.
Oh, okay. A lot of times they'll do that with comic stuff too. Somebody will do like a redraw, like and do it in like a limited run print. I've seen those before. That's again another thing that's really cool is that, like, if you don't really care about the level to which you how many degrees removed something is from the rarity, you know what I mean, like a print or a lithograph or whatever, if you just want the thing in a certain respect, you can get it for a decent amount of money. Because in many ways I don't really care about telling somebody that this is the original cell from fucking SpongeBob or Rocko's Modern Life or whatever. You gotta
swing that SpongeBob dick around. Look at my cells.
You get, when somebody comes over to your house, you're having a fucking dinner party, you want to tell them, listen, this is an original SpongeBob cell from the fucking Chocolate with Nuts episode. It's the chocolate guy. I've been looking for it for 10 fucking years.
It's him.
I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
That'd be a pretty good cell.
That guy, that would be great. I'd like that one, or I'd want Patrick with the board nailed to his head when he was trying to build the corral for his for SpongeBob's seahorse. I'd want that one. I'd want the chocolate guy, and also what would be good is some of the scenes where they cut to a painted version of them. It's like one of those hyper real paintings that they do. I would love to have one of those. That probably actually above all else would be some of the best cells you could get from SpongeBob. It easily are those ones where they break. And also, I would love to have them from The Amazing World of Gumball, because the way that they animate that show is so crazy. Like if you got a cell from it, it would look so awesome, because they use the real backgrounds plus like 3D renders plus cell shade plus a bunch of other styles. And Chowder is the same way. Chowder is that animation style where they have they almost use like fabrics for the backgrounds and shit. It's like infinite patterns. Have you ever watched that?
Yeah. It's weird because it's like static too, right?
Yeah, what they do,
and it makes the image look weird when they're like walking by.
When a character is walking across the frame, the background, it's almost like as if they've drawn, like, let's say his hat. They've drawn his hat with just the outline, and it's almost like they've cut it out to expose the background, because the background is literally just static. I think what they're doing in animation, I always hear people complain about, like, and this happens for almost anything because of nostalgia, how it works. Is people are always like, I miss the old days of animation. I remember Ren and Stimpy and Rocco and Rugrats, and I'm like, have you ever looked back on all that animation? The writing might have been great, but the animation looks like shit.
It's like, fucking pencil shavings still on the fucking paper that they're taking.
It's like, fuck you if you think that like the golden age of animation was that at that time. I mean, there were many golden ages of animation. My dad would tell you that Looney Tunes was the best animation. And in reality, I would almost be inclined to agree that from a technical level, that probably was better than what 10 years ago was. Looney Tunes is very much a technical achievement because it's all done in the way that it used to be done. Pen and fucking that'd be the one where you'd find the goddamn pencil shavings on the page because that's legitimately what those artists were doing.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to produce such cogent, like smooth animation from that style, Disney very much in the same way, is more technically amazing. But to say that there aren't smart, funny, intelligent, well-animated shows on television now is fucking stupid, because it's almost coming into its own from a generational perspective, like Regular Show, Samurai Jack. That's a return, I guess, to say. But even I don't think Samurai Jack would have been in the era of when people would have said it's not in the late 90s. Samurai Jack, the art style in that show is unparalleled. It's that principle of like every frame a painting type of idea when you're watching a really good movie, and it's like every single fucking shot in this movie could be taken as a still then made into a poster. Like Tarantino follows this principle. Pixar in many ways followed it for a lot of times. Up is a great example of like every frame of that movie is very artistically minded in terms of like composition and shit. I think that's what makes like stuff like Samurai Jack good. Even like Rick and Morty, that's an Adult Swim thing. I think that there's a difference there. But just there's so many good fucking cartoons right now. It's crazy. Gumball is really good. Not a lot of people I haven't run into a lot of people that actually watch that religiously. Adventure Time, obviously, a lot more people watch that, but
I never looked at a show and thought, man, this animation is shitty. I've never like looked at an animated show and like, man, this animation's shitty, because I don't even look like not even watching it as, and you know what I mean.
That's that's probably a testament to how immersive it is.
Yeah,
really more than anything else.
It's a fucking show. Who cares what it looks like?
Well,
it's not blurry. It's not like the animation's blurry or anything.
To me, though,
it sounds like it's just a different art style. Like my niece watches Daniel Tiger. You ever see the art style on that? Yeah, it's almost like South Park in that, like it looks like it's layers, right? But it's less like, it's more textured layers. It's like they put a texture on the construction paper instead of just like flat construction paper, and like I think that art style is real cool.
Kid shows going more juvenile, like not as far as like Adventure Time, because that's grown up with its audience, but like there are some really good ones of those too.
It's almost like Richard Scarry, Daniel Tiger.
Remind me.
The worm in the apple car. Although I'm thinking of the Hungry Caterpillar. Like the art style is like the Hungry Caterpillar.
Oh yes, and
but Richard Scarry was something else.
Rainbow Fish was kind of like that.
Yeah.
It employed that textural style where everything had like its own distinct texture.
But it also looks like it's in a different, like, foreground background, like a different.
Well, yeah, like Chowder. Again, It's got the same idea. Well, Daniel Tiger's a good one. I think the writing on some of these shows is actually more subversive than most people would think. Like, for being a children's show, there are some children's shows that I like as it's a standalone product. Like just as they are, not from a kid watching it.
Dora the Explorer.
No.
Gotta find the blueberries. Gotta go over the mountain.
I think
through the dark, scary cave.
That's where nobody's fucking trying.
And under the big top overhang to get to the blueberries.
Let's do all this again. Cool.
To make blueberry pie. On the map, 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 on the map,
Mickey Mouse,
on the map,
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse sucks. That's another one of those examples where they've rested their laurels on not only a franchise, but also the repetition that's literally fucking murdering parents all over the country with hot dog, hot diggity dog. It's like, kill me before I have to watch that shit over and over. If anybody's gonna fucking watch any of these shows, they better have some value that allows me to be immersed in it if I'm gonna give a shit.
Do you remember what the newest Looney Tunes is called? It's got a bunch of SNL people in it. Like Kristen Wiig's in it.
I thought it was just called like something stupid like New Looney Tunes or like
the
like
Looney
that,
Tunes or something like that.
Looney Tunes show maybe.
Yeah, maybe something like that. But yeah, that was actually pretty funny. I watched like a couple episodes of it.
That's the example I was trying
Fred
to get to.
Fred Armistead's in it and Kristen Wiig.
When you start giving a shit about a remake in a way that goes beyond the dollars, that goes beyond, like, that's the perfect example of it, is where you hire talent that gives a shit about the source material. And I mean, that can happen with a movie or an anime. It doesn't matter. It can happen with a movie, a cartoon, a show, or if it's a remake of something, if it's using an existing property and they care about it, it immediately shows. The writing on that Looney Tunes show is off the fucking chart. I've seen so many clips from that show, and I've seen it just kind of capture, like, just seen it like every once in a while flipping through the channels. The other one that struck me was when we were at your house just watching TV, and on I think it was Cartoon Network or Disney Channel.
Yeah, it was Cartoon Network.
The Loud House.
Yeah.
That was another one of those shows where I was like, this is where you can tell that we're moving into that second era of animation where adults can watch it and find it funny. Because I literally laughed at like 5 parts in the show, and it was like an 11-minute episode.
Yeah, just small dumb jokes that are actually funny.
Funny. Oh my god. And you know what else too? A lot of people shit all over this show. And maybe for good reason because of what it came from, but Teen Titans Go is one of those shows where if I had to watch it, if I was sitting down with a niece, nephew, whatever, it doesn't matter. If I was sitting down and watching that with a kid, I would be able to enjoy that show just as much as they would, because they don't take it too seriously. They lost the ability to continue on with that very comic book or anime style Teen Titans Go or Teen Titans that had the very specific DC style of animation.
Batman.
Very much
Batman
right.
stuff.
Batman a lot past Batman the animated series, but like in the Batman,
like the newer Batman.
Beyond, right. It had very much that same style. The writing was really in depth, and it had a lot of adult themes, and they made you deal with stuff because it was really a show that was geared towards more like at the time you were 15, 16 years old watching it.
Why what's the rating? Why 13 or whatever it is?
Yeah, that was like that level where
Why 11?
Yes.
That's what it was.
You knew you were about to watch a good show when you were up on Nickelodeon and Are You Afraid of the Dark came on, and it was like, why 13? Oh my god.
Oh baby.
I'm
gonna get spooked. Don't spook
reader
me.
Beware, you're in for a fucking scare, baby. I'm gonna get a better fucking footing here, or else I'm gonna be terrified. But Teen Titans Go, I mean, they even make fun of the show within the show, because there was one episode where they literally had a guy who was called like the rebooter or the something like that, like using like an industry term. And he was the villain of the show, and what he was going to do was he was going to reboot the Teen Titans, and they didn't want him to do that. They were like, the whole arc of the show was like, the rebooter's gonna bring us back to the old Teen Titans, and we don't want that. And they literally showed a clip of the old anime style Teen Titans on the screen in the show, and Robin was like, oh, look how hot I looked, or something like that. I was like, are they seriously doing is there such thing as a fifth wall? Because they fucking mowed it the fuck over.
That's pretty funny. I think I haven't really watched it. I think I caught a little bit of it one time, and I was like, this is fine. Yeah.
This is acceptable. I'm not mad at it. It doesn't make.
I don't get mad at anything. I know that. I've never gotten mad that a show exists or a movie exists or a game exists or anything exists. I just don't care.
And that's why you're so much better than a majority of the fucking people out there that, and I guess myself included.
I do more than don't care. Sometimes I even give it a shot.
That's all I can ask of you.
And I was like, well, that's not for me, I guess, and walk away.
In many ways, though, as it pertains to this.
That's why I'm better than everybody.
Well,
that's the point I was getting across.
I'm better. I'm better.
I'm best.
It's funnier to have an opinion, though.
Yeah. It really is.
Because you can stretch that out to the very bounds of reality.
Yeah. You get a lot more conversation out of, like, well, this is doing this that I don't like, la-di-da-di-da, than me just going, yeah, whatever. It's whatever. That's whatever. Everything's whatever.
We can move through 40 topics in an hour if we just took the Dillon school of not giving a shit about stuff.
Hey, what do you think about that new Matrix that's coming out?
Yeah, it was all right.
The Wachowskis, they're not going to be writing it. Yeah, it might be good. We'll see.
When is that happening?
I don't know.
In all seriousness.
They just kind of announced it.
I hadn't heard about it.
I don't know if it's a reboot or a continuation, but, like, everyone's like, oh, they're not letting the Wachowskis come back. Motherfucker, everyone hated the 2 movies they came out with after. What makes you think they're going to make a 4th good Matrix movie? That's what I don't get. Everyone gets mad at this. It's like they got mad that they wouldn't let George Lucas touch the new Star Wars. Everyone hated the last 3 movies he made. Why would they let him do anything with it?
It's so weird that there are those people who are like they're prequel fucking like abstinent. Like the prequels was the worst thing that ever happened to Star Wars, and that like Lucas fucking destroyed the franchise, and it's like, are you can't be serious talking about that, because it's just like saying with anything else, it's like that's part of it.
Yeah.
The successes and the failures of such a big franchise are part of it. You can't have one without the other. Maybe the only company in the world that did that with maybe 2 exceptions was Pixar, where it was just amazing after amazing after amazing, and then Cars 2 came out, and then it's like, fuck.
Brent,
but
we can't all be Resident Evil 4. Some of us got to be the Umbrella Chronicles.
Listen, I couldn't have put it better myself. Not even, oh Jesus, the Umbrella Chronicles. Some of us got to be Resident Evil Dead Aim, which is just an abortion of a video game.
All right, so I think that's it. I think that's a good note to end on.
Resident Evil Podcast Episode 8 coming to a close. We did it.
If you want the audio only versions, check the description. You know, all the links are in the description if you're watching this on the iTunes.
If not, you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, go ahead and smash that like button.
Crush the like, crush the subscribe.
Listen, we got to pay for we have to pay for your medication somehow so that we can keep you on the podcast and alive.
I guess I'm constantly sick at this point.
Got to open up a fucking Patreon just to make sure that you are able to afford Dayquil. Even if we get $10 a week on Patreon, that's enough. We'll get you the Walgreens.
That's cool. I'll do the Equate stuff.
We get the.
It's got the same active ingredients, baby. Check the box.
I'm a thrifty shopper.
Yeah, I don't need them name brands. This is capitalism.
Remember,
what?
Smash that like, smash that subscribe. Get to us on SoundCloud.
Remember,
get to us on iTunes.
Not everybody is Resident Evil 4.
Not everybody's Resident Evil 4. Sometimes you got to settle for Umbrella Chronicles. That's the Jacket Off podcast.